Arthur's Mystery Envelope by Mark Brown. Chapter 1. The cafeteria at Lakewood Elementary was filled with kids eating lunch. Some of them had brought sandwiches from home. The rest were eating school lunches. Today's choices featured a mystery meat covered in gravy. A few teachers wandered between the tables trying to keep the noise under control. "Let's keep it down," said Mr. Ratburn. He shook his head. "I don't think anyone's listening." Miss Sweetwater nodded. "Or maybe they just can't hear us," she said. At one of the middle tables, Arthur and his friends were finishing up. Arthur was poking at his food with a fork. "Even without the gravy," he said, "we have no idea where this came from." "Ready for action, boys?" Francine asked. "Ready," said Arthur. He put aside his tray. "I'm waiting," said Buster. They started a game of milk hockey. Francine and Sue Ellen made up one team. Arthur and Buster were the other. They used a crushed milk cart as a puck, hitting it back and forth the length of the table. Francine dodged left and flipped the carton past Arthur's hand. Buster tried to stop it, but the puck slid past him off the table. "Goal!" said Muffy. She was the official scorekeeper. Francine smiled. "That didn't take long," she said. Arthur flexed his hands. "We just take a little while to warm up." "All right," said Sue Ellen. "Let us know when you're nice and toasty." "Maybe we'll need a substitution," said Buster. He turned to Binky Barnes. "Do you want to turn?" "No," said Binky, crushing another carton with his fist. He just liked making pucks. "Attention, please!" Miss Tingley, the school secretary, was speaking over the loudspeaker. "Arthur Reed, please report to Principal Haney's office immediately." A hush fell over the room. Everyone was staring at Arthur. Buster's mouth was wide open. Binky's hand had frozen in mid-crush. "Uh-oh," said Francine. "I'll say," said Muffy. Sue Ellen just shook her head. "You're in real trouble now, Arthur," said Buster. Sometimes Mr. Haney yelled at him for running through the halls, but he had been to the office only once, for putting sneezing powder on Mr. Ratburn's desk. "Are you all right, Arthur?" Francine asked. I guess." "He doesn't look all right," said Sue Ellen. "He looks like one of those deer you read about, the ones who stare into the car headlights." "He's in shock," said Binky. "He's not used to visiting the principal's office. I could get there blindfolded with one hand tied behind my back." "What did you do, Arthur?" asked Francine. Arthur shook his head. "I don't know. Nothing that I could think of." Binky snorted. "Don't bother trying to excuse on Mr. Haney. It never works for me." Arthur stood up. "Well, I guess I should go." "Nice knowing you, Arthur," said Francine. "Good luck," said Buster. "And if you're not playing to finish those potatoes." He pointed to Arthur's plate. Arthur slid over his tray. "Help yourself," he said. "I just lost my appetite." Chapter 2. When Arthur got back to the classroom, his friends rushed to his side. "You survived," said Buster. "With no obvious signs of torture," Binky added. He looked a little disappointed. "What happened?" asked Francine. Arthur let out a sigh. "Mr. Haney gave me this." He held up a large brown envelope. "He said it was from my mom." "That's it?" asked Muffy. She reached out for a closer look. "What does it say? Is it sealed?" Francine grabbed the envelope. "It's sealed, all right." She held it up to the light. "And too thick to read through." "Give it a shake," said Buster, cocking his ears. Francine shook the envelope for a moment. It rustled softly. "That doesn't tell us much," she said. Binky folded his arms. "Let's just open it." "I can't," said Arthur. "It's addressed to my mother, and look what's stamped on it. Private and confidential." "That's a bad sign," said Buster. "Good news is never private." "Besides," said Binky, "you can't start making excuses until you know what kind of trouble you're in." "Didn't Mr. Haney give you any clues at all?" Francine asked. "He said it was important," said Arthur, taking back the envelope. That was about it. If it was good news, said Muffy, Mr. Haney would have told you. My mother always tells me right away if we've gotten a new limousine or if the cook is making a special dessert for dinner. He didn't say anything like that, Arthur admitted. That means it's bad news, said Francine. The question is, how bad is it? This was not a question Arthur wanted to think about. Binky laughed. Oh, I'll bet you lost a library book. I don't think Mr. Haney gets involved with overdue library books, said Arthur. Besides, I just returned all mine. Oh, no, said Francine. What? Said Muffy. Tell us, said Buster. Tell me, said Arthur. Never mind, said Francine. It's too terrible to think about. Arthur turned pale. That's why you have to tell me. All right, said Francine. But you forced me into it, she shuddered. What if you didn't pass Mr. Ratburn's history test? Arthur frowned. The big test had been the week before. It had been a hard one. Remember, Arthur? You told me afterward that you wrote how the Pilgrims came to America in 1620. Francine, the Pilgrims did come to America in 1620. She looked surprised. Really? Everyone else nodded. Well, still, Francine tapped the envelope. The proof is right here. And if you failed that test, you might fail the whole year. You know what that means? Summer school. Arthur sat down in his chair and thought about his fate. Summer school. Perhaps the two most dreaded words in the English language. He saw himself chained to the wall of a dark dungeon. Outside the barred window, he could hear his friends playing. He looked out through the bars. Buster and the Brain were setting up a tent for camping. Muffy and Prunella were rollerblading. Arthur looked around his cell. He was alone, with only some thick, dusty books for company. Then the guard, Mr. Ratburn, walked in. He was slurping ice cream from a cone. A few drops fell on the stones just beyond Arthur's reach. Snap out of it, Arthur, said Buster. Arthur looked at his friend blankly. You know what they say, Buster went on. Those who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat it. Arthur sighed. History or not, he felt doomed for sure. Chapter 3. Arthur could have taken the envelope straight home after school, but he didn't. Mr. Haney didn't say anything about when you should deliver the envelope, the Brain had told him. Under international law, you have the right to make a plan. They were sitting in a booth at the Sugar Bowl. Buster and Francine were there, too. Prunella and Muffy were seated behind them. Arthur had bought some candy, but he wasn't eating it. He was just moving it around in front of him. The candy was shaped in a rectangle with a big question mark inside it. The Brain was staring hard at Arthur's envelope. If only I could use X-ray vision, he said. Buster grabbed the envelope from him. We have to take action. I don't want to spend all summer doing fun stuff without you. He pushed the envelope toward the edge of the table. Hey, what if you accidentally lost it? He shoved the envelope onto the floor. It could end up in the trash or shredder, then bulldoze into a landfill. Only the seagulls would read it there, and we don't have to worry what they think. That's true, said Arthur. Prunella picked up the envelope. Don't listen to him, Arthur. He doesn't look ahead. You need to think of something that won't be blamed on you in the end. She paused. Maybe you could hide it in a laundry basket, and it could get washed. She picked up the envelope and held it carefully as if it were wet and dripping. She won't be able to read it, but you won't be blamed. Laundry, said Arthur. Interesting. Not interesting, said Muffy. Risky. You need to get it as far away from your house as possible. Buy it a first-class ticket to Alaska or Timbuktu. I don't have that kind of money, said Arthur. He looked at the clock. It was time to go home. Everyone went outside. Francine was still frowning. There must be some way out of this, she said. The Brain looked down at the storm drain. You could drop it in here, he said. The current would carry it into Bear Lake and from there to the Otter River. Once it was in the harbor, it would be carried out to sea, maybe even to Europe. When he eventually washed up on shore, it's possible Mother might find it, but she probably wouldn't understand English, so you'd be safe." "Europe is far away," said Arthur. Francine plucked the envelope from the brain's hand. "Don't do it, Arthur," she said. "If you try to lose it, you'll be in double trouble for losing it and for whatever you did in the first place." She handed the envelope back to him. "The whole thing doesn't seem fair," said Arthur. "I didn't do anything. I'll just have to give the envelope to my mother and see what happens." He had hoped saying that would make him feel better. It didn't. "That's a last resort," said the brain. "But, of course, the choice is yours."